I first came to Kensington and Chelsea in 1969 as a fresh undergraduate student in Chelsea. I've lived here ever since. It's over 50 years, and I've tried to do my best throughout all that time to improve this borough and its economic life and its educational life and now its civic life. When I was a student, we used to come up here to Chelsea, Kensington High Street Market and all the antique markets in Chelsea, and we used to buy second-hand clothes. We were well dressed, we were trendy. If you're coming to the King's Road, you're coming to arguably the best campus in the world, and so it was. I mean, Chelsea was the world centre for fashion, for clothing, and all the wonderful shops we have in Upper Sloane Street, Sloane Square, the mothership of Peter Jones, Sloane Rangers, right down to the shop with the clock going backwards at the World's End. It was the centre of world fashion. The world came to Chelsea. Well, of course, one of the great places here in Kensington High Street has always been up here, Regine's nightclub, the Virgin roof gardens, the magical roof gardens. We spent so many happy hours up there with important lunches and dinners for the Chamber of Commerce. I remember having conversations like Ian Duncan Smith, every mayor of Kensington, Chelsea, Michael Portillo. All of these people have been guests of the Chamber or have been patrons of the Chamber. Here we are in Chelsea on the King's Road. This is Dovehouse Green. Just over here you can see St Luke's Church. That's where the Chamber used to have its offices. We were part of the Chelsea Festival. Over there you've got Chelsea Town Hall. This is where Vivienne Westwood started, down at the World's End with her brand. We think Sarah McCartney started here. Just the other way, where the old cinema was taken over by Habitat, and Sir Terence Conran founded that revolution in English furniture and interior design. The King's Road was a centre of fashion. In the 60s it was full of hippies. In the 70s it was full of punk rockers. It was the home of the Sloane Ranger up at the top end in Sloane Square, and the Royal Court Theatre and now the Cadogan Hall is a centre of fashion, centre of design, centre of culture, centre of music, and it's always been associated with the visual arts, photography, nowadays with Alison Jackson, who is the councillor for this part of London. And also you've got the old Chelsea School of Art was here. You've also got the Chelsea Arts Club, and there are many artist studios in Chelsea. This is why so many tourists and so many Londoners and so many British people love to come here. We've also got the famous Chelsea Flower Show. So the Chamber of Commerce supports all of these businesses. Here we are at Kensington Town Hall. I don't know why it's not called Kensington and Chelsea Town Hall, because it stands for the whole borough, and the borough has supported business throughout this pandemic. We've had so much of our real essential commercial life and industry has been closed down. We're a tourist destination, hospitality, restaurants, pubs, all these hotels, all these industries have been completely closed, and so the borough has stepped up and offered its own COVID support grants, £5,000 per business. We've of course got the furlough scheme from the government. We've got government schemes like rates relief. The borough doesn't get the business rates, but the government controls them and has given this holiday to business, and we hope to support businesses coming back. We're giving very, very economical £100 pavement licences, so all the cafes, all the pubs can have people sitting out, socially distanced, enjoying the spring sunshine, and we hope to get that in place in the next couple of weeks so that all these small businesses can actually survive, get their businesses working again. Chamber will be promulgating, giving signposting, giving advice, and we want to get business life working again. Okay, we've got things called BIDs, BIDs, Business Improvement Districts. Well, I say we've got them. Of course, this borough, Kensington and Chelsea, is the only borough in London that doesn't have any BIDs. We need them. What they do is the local companies all get together, they decide to elect their own committee, they all buy into it, it's democratic. If a majority want it, we draw a line, that's the area. They put about 0.5% on the business rates. In Earl's Court, for instance, that would raise £250,000 a year, and that money comes back from central government, and that committee of businessmen spend that money, and business women and business people, on their own area, and they improve all sorts of things like pavements, like extra wardens, extra waste collections, pavement cleaning, planting, banners, branding, all sorts of things to keep the area economically active and to keep it lively. Well, Brexit is going to have 3 consequences, I think, for Kensington and Chelsea for business. First, of course, is the number of people who will be living here. I mean, the number of French people, for instance, is huge. It's the biggest French population outside of France. In fact, Kensington and Chelsea alone could virtually form a département in France. And of course, a lot of those were involved in financial industries, as were a lot of other EU citizens. Secondly, of course, it depends on whether the EU allows financial services passporting, because there's so much insurance. London is the world capital of insurance, marine insurance and so on, financial services, I mean, capital fundraising for infrastructure investment, so much, and currency exchange and clearing of banks is done through Kensington and Chelsea. And if we don't get rights to trade these services in Europe, it will have consequences, because a lot of the people who work in these industries actually live in our borough. Managers, experts, directors of financial companies, people who work in the city, K&C is their dormitory. And then thirdly, it's really going to affect us if we don't keep up tourism, which is really the main industry that we have. The hotels, the cafes, the restaurants, the pubs, the cultural venues, all of these are vital to the economy of Kensington and Chelsea. And without tourism, without sort of visa-less travel between us and the EU for holiday purposes, it's going to affect our main tourist industry. But I live in hopes, because all these things are mutual, of course. And once the EU realises, it's going to hit their trade as badly as it might hit ours, I'm sure they'll be reasonable, and things will carry on pretty much as they have been. For about 30 years, I ran a sort of £1 million a year turnover college, which was training higher technicians and technologists in electronics, and a lot of these were recent migrants. So, it was helping them to get a skill and a trade, and to get an economic foot in the door, and to get an independent life. And some of them to this day I still see, and they've got their own businesses and so on. And that's reflected nowadays. We have apprenticeship schemes, which the borough is running, and also we have this new government kickstart scheme, which is for young people from 18 to 26 who can get placements and internships with companies, and the borough's doing those, the chamber is doing those, and of course we also have Portobello Business Centre, which is the borough's start-up business support agency, and Portobello is helping all the young people We've got the Baseline Studios, where we have start-up units in the old garages underneath the Barlby Road council flats. So we're putting the garages to good use as start-up business studios. There we are, coming up into Kensington High Street again. The Design Museum's just over there, and the entrance to Holland Park. Really, the Chamber of Commerce in this borough exists as a social and networking organisation. I mean, what we want to do is put business people at their ease after a hard day's work. We have good venues. We go around to all the most beautiful hotels, restaurants, other venues. We have a sort of a little formal bit of the evening, sometimes a seminar, but then afterwards we have networking and a good social chat. And it's not like a machine, it's not like business, but you will meet people socially, and then, you know, a year later, even 5 years later, you'll think, that person I met can exactly help me now with my business, with something that I need. And that means that the networking side of the chamber has taken effect. I know, I found accountants by this method, my current solicitor I found by this method. You'll find all sorts of people who can help you in all sorts of business, and you do it through social interaction. That's business at its best, really.